94 on the Xman's radio talk show, and we got Albert on the phone. Albert, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
My pleasure.
Now, we're talking about out-of-body experiences and dreams and all that stuff tonight. Now, you have a book out called The Soul Traveler.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, let's go a little back. Tell us a little about your background and your experience.
Well, my scientific background goes back quite a ways. I helped design the stealth fighter. I worked on the design team for the B-1 bomber for the space station that's going up early next year. I also helped design several satellite units for President Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative, or Star Wars program. And I've also been involved in a lot of other things, some things like the infrared countermeasure system for Air Force One, and I've had a secret clearance for the last 20 years. And I'm also the author of Soul Traveler, which is about my personal out-of-body experiences, which goes back. I've been having these experiences since the age of 5, and I'm 41 now.
Wow. Tell us about those experiences. Now, from what I understand, I was reading your little bio about you. You had them when you were a kid, but your grandma called them witch rides.
Witch rides, right. Basically, it starts with something that a lot of people are experiencing, and a lot of people in my family are experiencing something called night paralysis.
See, I've had that many times. I still have those.
A lot of people have them, but the only thing is no one's really told anybody, or no one usually goes beyond the paralysis, because the first thing they think of when they experience it is trying to fight their way back out of it and to wake up.
Now, sleep paralysis, I mean, my experience is I'm sleeping in a nice deep sleep, and all of a sudden I wake up and I can't move my body.
Right.
For the life of me.
Right.
Literally.
That's it exactly. And what I found out, see, I'm going to use the word suffering, but not really. I've been suffering from this night paralysis for, 30 some odd years, and my mother's 77 years old, and she's been suffering with night paralysis all her life. But I attended a metaphysical class down here in California, Southern California, and during that class, the instructor had a near-death experience prior to teaching the class, and that's what led her on this course. And she was the first person that ever asked me, or anybody outside of my family, had I ever experienced night paralysis. And immediately I raised my hand and I said, yes, I have it all the time. And she looked at me square in the eye and she said, you may be on the verge of having out-of-body experiences. So I have to tell you, I never believed in out-of-body experiences, or I didn't even know what the word metaphysical meant. I'm a recovering Catholic, I call myself. So when she said that, I was very, very skeptical. But because I was having these situations or events happening to me sometimes 3 times a night, it was very easy for me to go back and find out for myself what it exactly was.
You know what? I didn't know what it was that I was going through, too, because I've been having them since I was a kid. But when I heard you on another talk show, I was, wow, that's what it is. You know? And it is suffering.
Exactly, it is. It's very agonizing and discomforting.
It is.
The purpose of me writing the book was not to convince people that I'm having these experiences, because it doesn't matter, because my experiences aren't going to stop whether someone believes me or not. The purpose of me writing the book was to share with other people who are having these experiences and are terrified by them, or are having a lot of problem with them, to explain to them that this may be happening to you, and is not a frightening thing if you turn the corner on your understanding and really understand what it is. It could be the greatest gift anybody could ever receive.
Now, you come from a hard science background as a scientist and an engineer. What steered your interest in research into the metaphysical arena?
Well, because like I said, I didn't go out to explore this. It came to me, and it came to me with these experiences on a nightly basis, and like I said, several times a night. So I had nowhere to turn. I had to learn to deal with it. And because in my family, my grandmother would say, when someone woke up paralyzed and complained about it, she would say, oh, the witches come and ride you at night. That's why you feel paralyzed. But because I'm an engineer scientist, I felt that there had to be some type of understanding or reason for this type of paralysis. So I decided to set up a period of experimentation, and I set up I think it was a 10-day period, and I actually achieved incredible results of that 10-day period that forever changed my life.
Wow. Well, once again, if you just joined, welcome to the Xman's Radio Talk Show tonight. My guest, Albert Taylor, author of Soul Traveler, scientist, engineer, and also the book is going to become a movie.
Correct.
And I'll ask you some questions on that later on tonight. But if you want to get in touch, you're more than welcome to. It is 888-333-9490, 415-538-9494. Maybe you've experienced this sleep paralysis, this night paralysis. It's 888-333-9490, 415-538-9494. You want to talk about it? My guest tonight, once again, Albert Taylor, who I'm glad to have on the show tonight. Now, if we could go back, what is an OB, out-of-body experience?
Well, basically, there's several types of out-of-body experience. There's the typical out-of-body experience that people are familiar with when we talk about the near-death experience. And that's when people have a trauma of some sort to the body and they find themselves floating above a car accident or in an operating room like Daniel Brinkley described in his near-death experience, and countless others. That's one type. The other type of out-of-body experience is the type that I have, where your body relaxes to the point that it actually releases its grip on the spirit or the consciousness, and the consciousness actually rises above the body, and you're able to actually view the room and your own physical body. And not only an out-of-body experience can not only be something like rising above the body and seeing your bedroom, that type of thing, but you can actually go to a non-physical understanding or reality, and that I wasn't quite prepared for. So the out-of-body experience is what some people would call astral projection and more. Astral projection is one type of out-of-body experience also, but it is only that projection to the astral plane. When anyone leaves the body, what I found out is that there are several locations or planes of existence that go along with this experience. One of them is the astral plane, but there are many, many others. So the out-of-body experience is basically, in simple form, is your consciousness, what you think you are, the part of you that thinks, laughs, and has emotion that actually leaves the physical confines of the physical body.
So kind of like your spirit, removal of your spirit.
I'd say that's why I call my book Soul Traveler, because that's what I believe it is. I believe it's the essence of what we are, and the essence of what we are is the soul.
Well, I've been trying to have an out-of-body experience for a long time now. It's kind of funny because I get to a point where I don't know if it's a dream or is it reality. Am I actually leaving my body yet? And it's because I like I said, I always have these sleep paralysis, always paralyzed in my sleep, and I think I just go there and that's it.
Well, this is what I tell people: if you want to find out if you're having a dream or if you really are having an out-of-body experience, the only way that I could discern between the two was to actually go to a physical location, ask to go, meaning you say, I want to go to maybe a friend's house, and you actually fly there to the location. And what I did was I would document as much as I possibly could remember at the location and come back and return to the physical body and try to verify it as much as I could. So I did this over and over again, and what shocked me was that I was right 100% of the time in all of the locations that I went to. So that told me that it's far more than just a dream. So that's the best way to find out.
So maybe you could come to my house. No, I'm just saying that just a figure of speech. If I put a note on my closet door and said, Albert, I gave you a secret recipe, you could actually come to my house and give me the secret recipe later on in the day?
Well, this is what I found out. When you leave the physical body, you don't think the way you do while in the body. Meaning, I could say, I want to go see what the secret plans are in Russia's top secret, in the Kremlin or something like that. What happens is the only things you care about once you leave the body are something that you have an emotional attachment to, like a friend or a relative or a loved one or something like that. Other than that, because, see, what we're talking about is far beyond what we think of in human being terms, far beyond just being human. We're talking about something that is definitely a super or higher consciousness, and at a super and higher consciousness, a lot of the material things that we have or that we experience on Earth really don't matter. So what I found out is if I were to go to someone's house, I would have to have a strong and emotional attachment to them.
Now, you said ask. You need to ask to go somewhere.
Yes, you ask.
Who do you ask?
Well, basically, you're making, it's kind of like a command, but what I found out, and this really scared me at first, because what I found out is when you leave the physical body, you're not alone. Many people call them guardian angels. Some people call them guides, friendly guardian spirits, whatever nomenclature you want to place on these beings, because they are beings that they are there to assist you in what you want to experience. Now, they're not going to do everything you want, but in a general sense, they will guide you or help you go to another location. So when you make that command, they are right there to respond and to help you transition from wherever you are to a distant location.
Now, can this be like my father's passed away? Can it be my father?
Generally, it's not a deceased relative. Generally, what these guides or guardian angels, whatever you call them, are, they're beings that have existed for quite a long time. They've been assigned to each one of us from the day that we are born on the physical plane, and they are here to the very last day when we leave the physical plane. A friend of mine, this is a really interesting story, a friend of mine who's been my friend for 20, maybe 30 years, we grew up together. He didn't believe any of the stuff that I told him, yet we remained very good friends. But earlier this year, and I'm glad to see he survived it, but he had a near-death experience because he had respiratory failure. What shocked him is all of a sudden, while he was in the emergency room, suddenly he was standing at a different location than when he was lying on the gurney, and he noticed people working on a physical body that resembled himself. And he was shocked because he thought, what are you doing working on this person? You should be working on me. And while he was thinking this, all of a sudden, he became very, very aware of the presence of several beings around him. And these beings, he felt as if he wanted to, he could go with these beings and not come back. But he did, of course, he wasn't done, so I'm glad he did come back. But when he did return to the physical body, something happened to him that forever changed his life. And this is the way he described it to me. He said, Al, I didn't realize how important I was, because when I left my body, there were some people waiting there for me. So there are a number of non-physical entities that are around us all the time that we can't perceive. Some of them are dead relatives, but the ones that are around that assist you during the OBE process are what I call, because I have no other name for them, I call them guides.
You know, it's funny because I have a friend that we talk about the same thing. He don't believe that I could, that I go through this, and but he says he's had experience where he's actually floated above his body and saw himself sleeping there, and he was just so frightened he went right back into it.
Well, a lot of people are, I tell people skepticism is a very healthy thing, because otherwise you're going to be drawn down the wrong path over and over again. So I think it's definitely a good thing to be skeptical. But I also say skepticism without an open mind is stagnation. You definitely should explore this thing, because I think this is for everyone. I have been touring all over the U.S. and foreign countries talking to people about this, and I'm amazed at the amount of people who are having these type of experiences. Not everyone has an experience. Not everyone is going to feel paralyzed at night sick, because it manifests in a lot of different ways. Some people may feel a vibration when they wake up from a nap or something like that. Or some people may hear a loud roaring sound or a electrical buzzing sound. And this is the part that really scared me, is that some people may, while drifting off to sleep or waking up, you may hear your name called. So there's a lot of ways that this particular thing manifests itself. And other ways is that maybe you fly in your dreams a lot. A lot of people have flying dreams. So there's numerous ways to explore this thing and to find out how it's manifesting in your own particular life. But I believe personally that 99% of us have these experiences every night, but only about 25% of us actually remember.
Now, you talked about dreams. What is a lucid dream, and what is the difference between a lucid dream and an OB, an out-of-body experience?
Well, a lucid dream is where you're having a dream and you become aware that it is a dream. Now, the dream material or the surroundings doesn't change, but you're very aware that you are dreaming and you're able to touch the surroundings or interact with someone that's there. That is could be considered a lucid dream. Now, like I said, the only way I was able to ascertain whether I was having a lucid dream or an out-of-body experience was to actually ask to go to a physical location that I had never been. And that is, to me, that's the only way that you know if you're having an OBE, because a lucid dream is so realistic. I mean, the buildings, a car, a person, grass even. You can touch grass, bushes. It's so realistic. There's really very, very difficult, very hard time telling if you're actually out of body. So I suggest to anybody who's having experiences or wants to have experiences, and if you need to prove your experiences to yourself, then request to go to a friend's house that you've never been to, or like you said, in the beginning, I would have people put a letter on the inside of a closet door, and I would see what the letter is. So that's the best way to do it to me. And after doing this numerous times and coming back and writing down and being right 100% of the time, I realized the fact that it being real was no longer a question. The real question was, now that I understand that it is real, what do I do with it? And what does it mean to me? And what does it make me that I can do this kind of thing? So that was the thing that I started exploring after that.
Well, we'll get to that in just a few. 888-333-9490 program.
I was wondering if we could possibly stay in that state of mind, because that happened to my mom.
Stay in that state of mind?
Yeah, like she could hear everything and everybody, but she couldn't move.
Uh-huh.
Could she stay like that?
You mean permanently, whether you want to or not?
Uh-huh.
No. You don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of fears regarding this, but to tell you the truth, there's nothing to be afraid of. No matter how long, even if you wanted to stay in that state, mm-hmm. there's I guess divine guidance or something like that that's going to automatically recall you back, and eventually you're going to reconnect with the physical body and wake up. So you don't have to worry about being trapped in that state. So that's why I say explore it, try to have as little fear as possible, and really find out what it is, because I'm telling you, it will change your entire life. The experiences that I've had have not only changed my life, they've completely removed the fear of death, because I now understand what it's like to be in the spirit body. And if you do ever achieve a consciously controlled out-of-body experience where you are separated from the physical body, that's as dead as you're ever going to get.
Okay.
So if that's as dead as you're ever going to get, there's nothing to fear at all.
Okay.
Thanks for the phone call. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Let's go with Maria in Mountain View. Maria, welcome to the program.
Hello?
Hi, Maria.
Hi, I have a question and a couple comments for you.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know if you were ever introduced to the path of Ekankar.
Oh, yeah.
You were?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you've heard of it?
Yeah, definitely. I explored Ekankar quite extensively.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, definitely.
I can tell.
Well, Ekankar is one of the few places that actually talks about leaving the body. There's some other members that talk about it, too, other groups.
What is Ekankar? I don't know what that is.
Ekankar is a religious organization that...
of the light and sound of
yes,
God.
of the light and sound. They call God Sugmad.
Mm-hmm.
They refer to the out-of-body experience as soul travel.
Mm-hmm.
They also, but they have some limitations that I found that I couldn't adopt into my understanding, and their limitations had to do with experiencing OBEs with only certain masters. Viragi masters.
Oh, you mean like the Mahanta?
Yeah, this is the problem I had to see. I'm a researcher, and what I did is I wanted to see the Mahanta. I wanted to see the Viragi masters. I wanted to see Govil Das and these different entities that they talk about, but I wasn't able to experience those entities, but I was able to experience a lot of other entities. So I realized that a lot of their techniques that they talk about are very, very helpful, but I have a problem when you start setting limitations on spirit, so that's why I moved on.
But the point is that the goal of soul travel is not to see the actual the actual masters, it's not the curiosity. It's the point. It's sort of an awakening to say why, because everyone soul travels. Everyone is soul.
Right.
So everybody is here for a reason.
Right.
And the reason you soul travel is to see why you are here and get a better understanding in the inner of why your physical body is in here and what you're doing here and what you have learned and what you're going to learn. Is the point isn't to see the masters, it's to the ability
to understand self.
Yes, to know why you're here.
Right.
Yeah,
well, I definitely felt that they had a lot to offer, and if people want to explore Eckankar further, they're welcome to. I'm kind of neutral. I don't recommend them, and I don't say don't check it out. But I definitely did learn some interesting things from them, and like you said, the whole point is to understand who and what you truly are.
Yes.
That's the whole, it's kind of like you said, an awakening. You wake up to the fact that you are truly spirit, that you are truly soul, and that you are not restricted to the confines of the physical plane.
And I had one more comment.
Go ahead, real quick, go ahead.
Okay, real quickly, I wanted to say that you're describing it as mostly like right when you're about to die, or right, you see yourself above a bed, and I wanted people to know that you can be awake, and it's not just your nighttime dreams. You can have waking dreams too.
Oh yeah.
That'll tell you.
I said about the bed. He didn't ever say anything about the bed.
Right.
Okay,
now,
Maria.
there's numerous ways to experience the out-of-body phenomenon. The easiest way for me is when I do the sleep, go through the sleep paralysis thing. But there's some people very gifted where they can just sit down, meditate, and project outward.
Yes.
So there's a lot of ways of achieving an out-of-body experience.
Yes.
Maria, do you have out-of-body experiences?
Yes, I do.
How do you like them?
Well, it's very like awakening. You can learn a lot. I've learned about who I am, why I believe in things. I've had a past life experience.
Hello, Jackie.
Hi. I've been having some really strange experiences. I've always had strange experiences. One in particular, I was in bed, I was asleep, and I thought I was awake, but I'm not really sure what I was doing. And I looked to the left, and there were all these like specks, and it looked like a shape. And I got scared, so I tried to scream for my husband, but I couldn't scream. And instead, I just laid there. I couldn't move. And then something told my husband to come into the room, and he came into the room, and he said that it went away. He actually saw something, I guess, like a shape, and he came into the room because I finally managed to scream, and whatever it was disappeared, but it felt like evil. It felt like an evil presence, but and I couldn't scream, and I didn't know what to do. And at first I thought I was asleep, but then I was actually kind of in limbo, I think. And I wanted to know if you have heard anything similar to that. And
well,
if you
I hear a lot of people say that they sense a dark figure, or they sense evil, or it felt like evil. But I have to tell you, there's the evil that I've noticed, that I've experienced during this particular phenomenon, has only come from me. Any feeling that you have, it's going to be multiplied tenfold. So if you have a fearful feeling, you're going to feel 10 times as fearful. If evil pops into your head, you're going to experience that particular situation as evil. But what generally is happening is that your guides are there, and you're projecting this on them. Like you said, they didn't do anything evil that you know of, but you felt that way, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, the thing that I found out is that it wasn't outside of me, meaning that they were. It was that I was perceiving it that way. So what I learned over the period of years, and I've had hundreds and hundreds of experiences, what I learned is not to project those type of emotions, and project just the opposite. And that's when I had incredible experiences with my guides.
Oh, so they're actually picking up on my emotions.
If you think you're going to see the devil, then you will, because that's how astral substance works. It responds to your thoughts. So the best thing to do when you are in this state is to try to be an observer. Try not to guess what's going on. Try not to project on who this particular person is, especially if it's a fearful thought. Because if you have a fearful thought, you're going to experience exactly what you've been projecting.
And then real quickly, I had a friend who passed away, and we didn't have any closure.
Mm-hmm.
And after he died, I would see him in my dreams.
Right.
They were very, very real.
Right.
And very vivid. And I was listening to what you were saying, how you actually wake up in your dreams and realize that you're dreaming.
Right.
And I would go, it seemed like I was at another place with him and his wife and his kids and my mother. And I saw him several times through these dreams, and then finally he came, and I was in my bed, and I was sleeping, but I was awake in my dream, and he came right up to my face and said, "Thank you for coming to visit me."
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it. I haven't had any more dreams.
Wonderful. That's great. You know, that's the thing is when you're in this state, they spirits or people who have passed on have access to you. That's one of the few times that we are listening. We who are still here on the physical plane can actually hear them on the other side. So that's wonderful. And this is what I tell people. When you have an out-of-body experience and you see spirits, it's just like going into the ocean and expecting not to see fish. There's going to be a multitude of fish in the ocean. And when you leave the physical body, you're going to find out there's going to be a multitude of spirits there. Some of them will be from your present life, and some of them will be from a higher existence. So there's definitely a lot of spirits and entities on the plane, and relatives and friends and things like that who have passed on will definitely try to reach you in that state.
Wow.
And it's a real thing. It's not a figment of your imagination.
Yeah, I felt like it was real.
Yeah.
I've always been real intuitive about other things, so I didn't discredit it.
That's
or
wonderful.
anything.
That's a great experience that you've had.
Oh, it was wonderful. It was beautiful, and I felt like it was a gift.
Good. It truly is a gift. That's how I look at it. People say, "Aren't you proud that you can do this and you sold a lot of books?" It's not has nothing to do with pride. I feel very grateful that I'm not living my entire life not understanding what this phenomenon is. So it's a gratitude type of thing.
Real quickly, there was one other particular experience, and I find that it's right when I get up from bed. It's like I'm half asleep and half awake, and I was taking a shower, and all of a sudden I felt this overwhelming pain, and it was my brother, and he had lost his son. And I said out loud to God, "No, not his son. Not that I want his 3 daughters to die, but not his son," because I knew how important the son was to him. And 21 days later, he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, what would you classify that as?
Well, when you're in the spirit form or spirit consciousness, not just leaving the body, a lot of people can do this during meditation. When you're in that state, you have access to incredible senses that you aren't really beyond the 5 senses. So you can perceive not only the future events, you can perceive someone's pain, someone's thoughts, experiences. You're open to a lot of things. So when you were in that state, it doesn't surprise me that you were able to tap into that.
Jackie, thanks for the phone call. I appreciate it. We got to take a little short break. Once again, my guest tonight, Albert Taylor, the author of A Soul Traveler, bestseller. You could buy it. It's in bookstores right now. He's also a scientist, engineer. It's amazing what we're talking about tonight. Out-of-body experiences, lucid dreams. That's what we're talking about right here on the Xman's Radio Talk Show. 888-333-9490, 415-538-9494. Do you believe? Movie, and it's being worked by DreamWorks.
Yes, yeah. Wow, news travels fast. Yes, it's at DreamWorks, and it's also at a few other major production companies. So we're negotiating with them now. I'm not sure when it's going to come out, but it's looking real good. I'm really excited about it. I wrote the screenplay, too. So I wrote the screenplay because I wanted it to reflect my true experiences instead of a lot of hocus pocus. I wanted it to be something that people could actually learn from watching and leave the theater thinking, I think I can do that. So I set out and I wrote the thing, and I'm really happy with it. Really proud of it.
Do you know when the expected release of this movie's out?
No, because it's still in the process. I'm learning this as I go along because I've never done this before. So it's still in the process. I'm hoping in a year and a half to 2 years.
Right.
But they're rushing, and a lot of activities going on right now. So I think it's going to come out as soon as it possibly can. Plus, I'm working on my second book, and it's going to be released mid next year, and I think that has a lot to do with the timing also.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. I wonder, I'm going to be in the Bay Area on the 30th of this month.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if I could mention where I'm going to be at.
You could do that. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to be at the Crystal Angel, which is at 1549 Laurel Street in San Carlos, at 7:30 on the 30th of this month. So if anybody would like to come down and hear my lecture or talk to me or share a story, I definitely welcome you. And the book we're having a lot of trouble keeping it in the bookstores. It's selling out like crazy. We're in our 4th print run right now, and that's almost gone, and it hasn't even come off press. So if anybody's trying to find the book, I mean, it's at Borders, Barnes & Noble, Target just picked us up, Kmart, and it's at numerous other places, Crown Books. But if you're having trouble finding it, you can call the 1-800 number that I'd like to give to people. It's 1-800-220-2289. If we could repeat that later on, just in case some people don't have a pencil available.
You can go ahead and repeat the whole where you're going to be at the 30th.
Okay. I'm going to be at the Crystal Angel, which is in San Carlos. And the address is 1549 Laurel Street in San Carlos. Also, the book can be had or gotten at 1-800-220-2289, and I'm sure they'll rush the book out too as soon as possible. A lot of the bookstores are running out of them like mad, so it might be hard to get them. So this is another avenue to try and get the book. But we expect to solve the problem in maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks. We didn't expect the demand.
I understand that problem because I was trying to look for your book too, and I can't find it still.
I didn't have the slightest idea that it was just going to be a phenomenon. But I mean, I'm very, very grateful. But right now, what I'm trying to do is I'm concentrating on getting as many books out there to the people so that they can read the book, especially Chapter 14. If anybody gets a hold of the book, Chapter 14 is dedicated on how to do this. So I'm trying to get the book out there so people can explore this particular phenomenon on their own and for themselves.
Let's go on the phones. Let's go with Candy in Stockton. Candy, welcome to the program. You're on with Albert Taylor.
Hi.
Hi, Candy.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good.
Go right ahead, Candy. You got to turn off the radio, though. You're on delay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to know or talk about my experience.
I can barely hear you.
Yeah, there's a bad connection. Monica, can you check that? That's mine. Let's go with Sarah in Vallejo. Sarah, welcome to the program.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I really haven't had this experience myself, but I used to work with a lady who said that her and her sister used to do this together, and they had total control over it.
Right.
And, she would tell me all these stories, and at first I didn't know if I should believe it or what, 'cause it can seem unreal.
Right.
But I really do believe in it, and, like, she was telling me, you can do it if you want to, and I don't know, I never have had that experience, though, that I know of.
Yes, you can have joint out-of-body experiences where you can meet someone else who's capable of soul traveling or having an out-of-body experience. It is a very real thing. 7 years ago, I should say, if you would have come to me and told me about this particular phenomenon, I would have thought you were nuts because I didn't believe it either. And to me, the best proof about this thing existing is for the individual to experience it for themselves.
Yeah.
It's not about believing me, because that's not going to do it. The thing is what I've tried to do is I've experimented with a lot of techniques, and I've taught a lot of people this over the last few years, and I've had a lot of great results with teaching these people. So that, to me, is the best proof that this is a legitimate phenomenon, is to read Chapter 14, if you can get a hold of the book, and actually experience it for yourself, because it is very real, and it is something that all of us can eventually do.
She said that they could even, like, talk about it in the morning, it was...
Right, reflect on their experiences together.
Exactly.
Definitely. That's what's so wonderful about it. And if people are able to do this, you have to ask yourself, what are we as human beings that we can do these incredible things?
Right.
What are we? And I tell you, the thing that I think we are is far more than just human beings.
Yeah,
that is possible.
Yeah.
Sarah, thanks for the phone call.
Thank you, Javier.
Appreciate it. Let's go with Kim in San Lorenzo. Kim, welcome to the program. You're on with Albert Taylor.
Hi.
Hi, Kim.
I have 2 questions to ask you.
Can you speak up a little louder? Go right ahead.
I have 2 questions to ask you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Is it harmful in any way to have an out-of-body experience?
No, not at all. A lot of people are afraid that maybe a spirit will come over and take over their body while they're gone, or maybe they can't get back or something like that. But I have to tell you, there's no harm or there's no danger that I have found in the hundreds and hundreds of experiences that I've had. And the experiences that I have to tell you that it's not something that is new where I thought, well, let me try something new at 35 years old. It's something that I've been dealing with all my life, since I was 5 years old. My mother is 76 or 77 years old. I don't know if she wants me to tell everybody that. But she's 77 years old, and she's been having these experiences uncontrolled all of her life. And when I found out what they were, and I shared with her techniques on how to control it, she, at 77 years old, is having incredible experiences, out-of-body experiences with her, what she calls her guardian angel. So, no, it's not. It has nothing to do with age. There's no harm for anyone to try this, because what you're doing is you're really finding out who and what you really are. And I'll tell you, that to me is the most incredible thing and experience that you could ever have. And I call it the ultimate truth, because that's what it is to me, the ultimate truth about what we're really doing here.
You had another question, Kim? Go ahead.
Yeah, and can you go back to something that happened in your past?
I can barely hear you. I'm sorry.
She said, can you go back to something that happened in your past?
Well, time is an element of the physical plane. And yes, you can experience the past and you can experience the future, because there is no time once you leave the physical body. But now I don't give a lot of warnings about this. So this is one of the few warnings that I do give. And it's because of personal experience. And what I found out is that when you go into the future, or you said past, but if you do experiment with time, I think the past is safer. But if you experiment with future situations, be advised that you may not see what's going to be happening on a global sense around the world or someplace distant and doesn't affect you directly. What you may experience is something in your immediate future or in your life. So you have to be prepared for that in case you do that. I suggest if anybody wants to experiment with time travel, if you want to call it that, then the past is the definite place to go.
No, we talked about having an OB. You say don't have the fear. I mean, getting into a sleep paralysis, that's fear itself, because you're not in control, or you feel you're not in control of your whole body waking up, but you're in this stalemate.
Well, what I found out is, and that's good, because what I wanted to explain to people is that what I found out is you feel as if you're not in control, you feel as if you're paralyzed, but the thing is that what you're trying to do is move your physical body. Because most people aren't aware that they have more than one body. I mean, I never would have dreamed that. But the thing that I learned to do is when I get into the paralysis state, I no longer try to move my physical body. I move my second body, as Robert Monroe would call it, or I move my astral body. So when you're in that state, you're still in control. You just can't move your physical body, because soul is not in control of that. Soul is really, I'd say, in control of the second body. So that's the way you want to go. And all you have to do is shift your consciousness to that, or even say, I want to float upward. I want to be able to see. Sometimes people are having these experiences and it's pitch black. So you have to command it. Say, I want to see the room. So that's really as simple as it gets.
Just say that. That's all I need to say.
Exactly. I want to float upward, and I want to see. I want to go here. I want to experience this. Or even if you're in a fearful situation, say, I only want to experience things for my higher good. And things respond exactly to what you want.
Once again, if you just join us, Albert Taylor is his name, author of the bestseller Soul Traveler. He will be at the Crystal Angel place at 1549 Lowell Street in the city of San Carlos. And if you'd like to order his book, you're more than welcome to. It is 1-800-220-2289. He is my guest tonight. We're talking about out-of-body experiences. Let's go with Roberto in the city of San Francisco. Roberto, welcome to the program. You're on with Albert Taylor.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Can you
hey,
speak a little
Roberto.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to talk about some experiences that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
I had these experiences like maybe 3 or 4 times before, but then I come from a very religious family, both my mom and my dad's side, but more from my dad's side. And I visited Mexico and, like talking to my family and about, about stuff like this. And out of the last year, it's been happening to me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I came to my parents about it, and when it happened before, I didn't know what it was. And they told me that it's actually like a family member that has already passed away, and that is coming back, like trying to tell you something. And it's happened to my mom before. When she got together with my dad in, I think, like 1977, she would fear that she would see my grandma that had passed away in 73.
Mm-hmm.
She would see my grandma, like, my mom would be sleeping, and she'd wake up, and my grandma sitting next to her.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandma wouldn't say anything. She would just look at my mom, and my mom, she told me that she would know that my grandma didn't like my mom being with my dad. So after it happened maybe 3 or 4 times, my mom, told her, you know what, it's going to be okay. I'm going to take care of him. And my grandma didn't appear again. And I've been telling my parents about this, about what's been happening. They tell me that it's someone trying to come back and actually trying to tell me something, whether it's good or bad. And it didn't happen to me a lot before, but now it's happening to me a lot. It happens almost, at least 3 times every week.
Wow, great.
And
what's your question, Robert? Go ahead.
I was just telling you about my experience. And, you guys are talking about, like, it's no harm, but, like...
You're afraid of it.
Yeah, in a way I am, yeah.
Well,
because
what I found out is that entities that do come into your experience will not share with you bad news. They will not share with you things that are going to happen to you in the future that are going to be traumatic to you, because they can only communicate with you if your guide allows them to. And your guide is not going to let them affect the learning path that you are on in this lifetime. So you don't have to worry about negative things. If they do come, it's probably because like a grandmother, it's because they really truly love you still, and they think about you very often, and they can't wait to talk to you. And this is one of the few times and opportunities that they actually get a chance to actually communicate with you before you pass on to where they are. So no matter what, try to suspend your fear and think of it as only a positive thing. Once I started only thinking of my experiences as positive, I ceased to have negative experiences, and I've been doing this a long, long time. So that's the best information I can share with you.
You talked about claiming to be in touch with the deceased and loved ones, and how can you do that through the OBs? How does that happen?
Well,
do you ask for them like you're asking for a place? Like if I have an OB tonight, do I say I want to see my dad or talk to my dad and he'll appear? Is that how that works?
If you do that, he will likely come to you, or you can say, I want to see my father, and you will be taken to him. Either way, just you thinking about them, he is very aware, or any relative or any person that's passed on is very aware of what your thoughts are, and they will respond, or you will be taken to them. And my aunt passed away in 1982 in Cedarside in a hospital down here in Beverly Hills area, and I have seen her numerous times. The first time I saw her, it shocked me because I didn't believe it. First of all, I didn't know that when you go to the astral plane, or I have the out-of-body experience, that people are there. That's where deceased people go. But since then, I have had incredible experiences with deceased relatives, and it's changed my understanding, my whole concept on what death truly is. And like Chief Seattle said, there is no death, only a change of worlds, and that is so factual.
Wow. Now, have you ever encountered like extraterrestrials, angels, maybe demons in your OBEs?
I haven't encountered any ETs, and I haven't encountered any demons. The evil things that I have encountered were self-projected. And once I learned to control my thoughts, because that's the key. You got to remember, when you leave the body, it's like becoming a genie all of a sudden. So anything that you think or focus on or fear will come into the experience. It doesn't mean that it's real, but you will experience it like it's real. So what I did is I stopped thinking about all the demons and evil and all the things that a lot of religious organizations were putting on me, and I just thought about, I am spirit, and I'm doing this for my higher good. Since once I came to that realization, all of my experiences, 100% of them, have been positive.
How do you explain, well, I don't know if this is relevant to the topic, but like when people say you could die in your sleep, you died in your sleep. Does that the same kind of feel? Is that, well, I mean, I know you haven't died in your sleep, but I'm just saying that. Would that be kind of like the same concept of an OBE experience?
Well, not really. If it's your time to die, you're going to leave. Each one of us comes into this earth plane with a certain allotted hours or years. We're here to have experiences for our individual soul to evolve. Your guide, just because you're able to leave the body doesn't mean that you're going to die. But like I said, I've been doing this uncontrolled for a number of years, and just because now that I know how to control it doesn't mean that there's a danger of something happening to me. So you don't have to worry about that. And plus, this is what I found out too, is that we all here are going through a guided life. This is not unguided. There's definitely a plan for each and every one of us here, and each and every one of us is supposed to affect a lot of people that come into our lives, either positive or negative. It's up, because of free will, it's up to you. But we're definitely here for the duration. We definitely have a lot to do while we're here, so you don't have to worry about this particular thing cutting your life short.
All right. Once again, my guest tonight, Albert Taylor.
I wanted to go. This is really funny. My oldest daughter,